Commander Alex Rhodes was reviewing diplomatic protocols for the next day's peace negotiations when Princess Kira Velandris appeared at his quarters like a ghost made of starlight and desperate urgency, her usually perfect royal composure shattered into something that looked remarkably like terror. "Alex," she whispered, her luminous blue eyes scanning the corridor behind her with the kind of alertness that suggested immediate danger, "we need to leave. Now. Tonight. And we can never come back." Alex set down his data pad, noting how Princess Kira's characteristic silver hair seemed to glow with its own light in the dim illumination of his quarters, and how her hands were trembling despite her obvious efforts to maintain control. "Your Highness," he said carefully, "what's happened? Is there some kind of emergency with the negotiations?" Princess Kira moved into his quarters with fluid grace that couldn't quite hide her agitation, sealing the door behind her with movements that suggested she was familiar with human technology despite her alien heritage. "The negotiations are a lie," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that Alex had learned to associate with profound emotional distress. "Everything we've been working toward, all the peace talks, the cultural exchange programs, the cooperation agreements, it's all been a facade." Alex felt something cold settle in his stomach as he processed what Princess Kira was telling him. For 6 months, they had been the primary liaisons between their respective species, working to establish diplomatic frameworks that could prevent the interstellar conflict that both sides claimed to want to avoid. "Princess Kira," he said, "that's a serious accusation. What evidence do you have?" Instead of answering immediately, Princess Kira activated a small holographic projector that filled Alex's quarters with strategic displays showing fleet positions, attack vectors, and timeline coordinates that made his military training scream warnings about incoming disaster. "My mother," Princess Kira said, her voice breaking slightly on the words, "has been using the peace negotiations to position Zephyrian forces for a surprise attack on Earth's military leadership. The ceremonial fleet review scheduled for tomorrow isn't a celebration of diplomatic success, it's the prelude to a massacre." Alex studied the tactical data with growing horror, recognizing the formation patterns and strategic positioning that would allow a devastating first strike against human forces that believed themselves to be attending a peaceful ceremony. "How long have you known about this?" he asked. "I discovered the true plans 3 weeks ago," Princess Kira admitted, her blue eyes showing shame mixed with determination. "I've been trying to find a way to stop it without betraying my own people, but there is no way. The attack will happen unless..." "Unless what?" Princess Kira moved closer, her alien beauty somehow made more striking by the vulnerability in her expression. "Unless I disappear before the attack can be authorized. Zephyrian military law requires royal approval for major offensive operations. If I'm not available to provide that authorization, the attack must be delayed." Alex felt reality shift around him as he realized what Princess Kira was asking. "You want us to run away together to prevent a war?" "I want us to run away together to save your life," Princess Kira corrected, her voice carrying desperation that made her meaning unmistakably clear. "Alex, you're on the target list. Every human military officer attending tomorrow's ceremony is scheduled for elimination." The holographic display shifted to show personnel files, and Alex saw his own face among dozens of others marked for assassination during what was supposed to be a celebration of interspecies cooperation. "Princess Kira," he said carefully, "if we disappear together, if you abandon your royal duties to save human lives, what happens to you? What happens to your people?" "I become a fugitive for my own empire," Princess Kira replied matter-of-factly. "I forfeit any claim to royal succession, I lose my family, my home, my entire identity as a Zephyrian noble." "And you're willing to sacrifice all of that?" Princess Kira's laugh was like breaking crystal, beautiful and sharp with pain. "Alex, I've spent 6 months working with you, learning about human concepts of individual choice and moral responsibility. You've taught me that some things are more important than duty to authority." She moved to stand directly in front of him, her luminous eyes reflecting starlight in patterns that seemed to shift with her emotions. "What things?" Alex asked quietly. "Love," Princess Kira said simply. "And the principle that love means protecting people, not destroying them for political advantage. Alex felt his heart perform several impossible maneuvers as Princess Kira's words revealed the depth of feelings that their professional relationship had carefully concealed. "Princess Kira," he said, "are you telling me that you're willing to give up everything for you?" She confirmed, her voice trembling with the effort of speaking words that would change everything between them. "For us. For the possibility that two people from different species can choose each other over the expectations of their governments." Alex looked at the tactical displays still showing the planned attack, then at Princess Kira, whose blue eyes held complete trust in his response to her unprecedented offer. "If we run," he said, "if we disappear together, where would we go? How would we live?" "I have a ship," Princess Kira said, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. "Supplies, identification documents, coordinates for neutral territory where neither of our governments can reach us. We could disappear completely, start over somewhere new. As fugitives. As free people," Princess Kira corrected. "People who chose love over loyalty to systems that would use us to destroy each other." Alex studied Princess Kira's face, noting how her alien features had become impossibly beautiful to him over months of working together, and how her request represented not just personal sacrifice but genuine moral courage. "Princess Kira," he said, "if we do this, if we run away together, there's no going back. You understand that?" "I understand that staying means watching you die tomorrow," Princess Kira replied. "I understand that my mother's war will destroy any hope of peace between our species. And I understand that some choices are more important than safety." As Alex looked into Princess Kira's luminous eyes and saw complete determination mixed with desperate hope, he realized that his answer would determine not just their personal future, but potentially the fate of two civilizations. "When do we leave?" he asked. Princess Kira's smile was radiant enough to power interstellar navigation. "Now, Alex. We leave right now, and we never look back." The next hour passed in a blur of carefully controlled panic as Princess Kira guided Alex through preparations for what she called the most important disappearing act in galactic history. She moved through his quarters with the efficiency of someone who had been planning this moment for weeks, helping him gather essential items while explaining the logistics of erasing two people from existence. "Only necessities," Princess Kira said, watching Alex pack personal items with the kind of systematic approach that marked his military training. "Everything else can be replaced. Everything else will have to be replaced." "Kira," Alex said, using her first name for the first time without her royal title, "how long have you been planning this?" "Since the moment I realized that working with you had taught me to value individual lives more than political abstractions," she replied, activating a small device that scrambled their conversation from potential surveillance. "Since I understood that I'd rather be a traitor to my government than an accomplice to genocide." Alex paused in his packing, studying Princess Kira's face as she spoke. "When exactly did that realization happen?" Princess Kira's luminous blue eyes showed something that might have been embarrassment mixed with determination. "Do you remember the cultural exchange session 3 weeks ago, when you explained human concepts of moral responsibility? When I said that following orders doesn't excuse participating in atrocities? You said that every person has the obligation to choose conscience over convenience, even when that choice carries personal cost," Princess Kira corrected. "That's when I realized I was falling in love with someone whose values were incompatible with everything my government was planning." Before Alex could process the implications of Princess Kira's admission, his door chimed with an incoming visitor. Both of them froze as Lieutenant Sarah Martinez's voice came through the communication system. "Alex, are you awake? We need to review tomorrow's security protocols." Princess Kira's expression shifted to something between panic and tactical assessment. Alex activated his door controls while Princess Kira moved to position herself where she wouldn't be immediately visible to anyone entering. "Sarah," Alex said as his door opened, "what's so urgent about security protocols that it can't wait until morning?" Lieutenant Martinez entered with the expression of someone who had been working late and consuming too much synthetic caffeine. "I've been going over the ceremonial arrangements, and something feels off about the Zephyrian fleet positioning." Alex felt Princess Kira tense behind him as Sarah's military instincts identified the same tactical problems that had convinced Princess Kira to risk everything to prevent the attack. Off how? Alex asked carefully. Off like their position for optimal firing solutions rather than ceremonial display, Sarah replied, activating her own tactical display. Look at these formation patterns, this isn't how you arrange ships for peaceful celebration. Princess Kira stepped into view with fluid grace, her royal bearing somehow making the cramped quarters seem spacious. Lieutenant Martinez is correct. The fleet positioning is optimized for military engagement, not diplomatic ceremony. Sarah's eyes widened as she processed the presence of Zephyrian royalty in Alex's quarters during what was clearly a private conversation. Your Highness, I wasn't aware you were consulting about security matters. I'm not consulting about security, Princess Kira said with the kind of honesty that Alex was learning to recognize as characteristic of her personality. I'm warning Alex that tomorrow's ceremony is a trap designed to eliminate human military leadership. The quarters fell silent except for the soft humming of life support systems and the distant sounds of ship operations. Sarah looked between Alex and Princess Kira with growing understanding that she had stumbled into something far more significant than routine security review. Your Highness, Sarah said carefully, are you saying that the Zephyrian Empire is planning to attack during the peace ceremony? I'm saying that my mother's government has been using the peace negotiations to position forces for a surprise attack that will decapitate human military command while your leadership believes itself to be celebrating diplomatic success. Sarah sat down heavily on Alex's desk chair, her expression cycling through disbelief, anger, and tactical assessment. Alex, if this is accurate, we need to alert command immediately. Alerting command will trigger the attack early, Princess Kira said. My mother's forces are prepared for the possibility of discovery. Warning your leadership will simply accelerate the timeline. Then what do you suggest? Sarah asked. Princess Kira looked at Alex with an expression that mixed love with desperate hope. I suggest that Alex and I disappear before the attack authorization can be completed. Zephyrian military law requires royal approval for major offensive operations. Without my presence to provide that approval, the attack must be delayed. Sarah's eyes moved between them with growing comprehension. You're planning to run away together. We're planning to save lives by preventing a massacre that will start an interstellar war, Alex corrected. By abandoning your posts and fleeing like fugitives, Sarah said bluntly. By choosing conscience over duty when duty requires participating in genocide, Princess Kira replied with steel underneath her musical voice. Sarah was quiet for a moment, processing the implications of what she was hearing. Your Highness, if you disappear, if you abandon your royal responsibilities, what happens to you? I forfeit any claim to succession, I become a fugitive from my own people, and I lose everything that has defined my identity since birth, Princess Kira said matter-of-factly. But I preserve my ability to live with the choices I've made. And Alex? Becomes a fugitive from human authority for abandoning his post during a critical diplomatic mission, Alex said. But avoids being murdered during a surprise attack that I couldn't prevent through official channels. Sarah stood up, her expression showing the kind of decision-making process that had made her valuable for military operations requiring quick tactical assessment. What do you need from me? She asked. Sarah, Alex said, you don't have to. What do you need from me? Sarah repeated firmly. Princess Kira stepped forward with obvious gratitude. We need someone to create a diversion that allows us to reach the hangar bay without triggering security alerts. And we need someone to document what we've discovered so that evidence exists if our disappearance doesn't prevent the attack. How long do I need to give you? 20 minutes to reach our ship and achieve minimum safe distance from the diplomatic vessel, Princess Kira replied. Sarah nodded with the kind of professional efficiency that had made her Alex's most trusted colleague. 20 minutes. I can do that. As they finalized their escape plan, Alex realized that Princess Kira's desperate plea to run away had evolved into something unprecedented in galactic politics, a conspiracy to prevent war through strategic desertion. Sarah, he said, this could end your career. Alex, Sarah replied, watching my friends get murdered during a fake peace ceremony would end more than my career. It would end my ability to respect myself. As they prepared to abandon everything they had known for an uncertain future, Alex understood that Princess Kira's trembling voice and urgent eyes had been asking him to choose not just love over duty, but hope over despair in a galaxy where political systems had forgotten that individual lives mattered more than strategic advantages. The escape began exactly as Princess Kira had planned, with Sarah creating a cascade of minor system failures that drew security attention away from the hangar bay while Alex and Princess Kira moved through service corridors that she had somehow memorized during months of diplomatic meetings. This way, Princess Kira whispered, her royal training in palace navigation apparently translating well to starship architecture. The maintenance shaft leads directly to docking bay 7. Alex followed her through passages barely wide enough for human proportions, noting how Princess Kira moved with the kind of fluid grace that made her seem to flow through spaces rather than navigate them. "Kira," he said as they paused at a junction point, "how did you learn the ship's layout well enough to plan escape routes?" "I've been preparing for this possibility since I realized that loving you meant choosing between my heart and my government," she replied, checking her chronometer with obvious anxiety. "I couldn't save my people from their own leadership, but I could save you from mine." They reached the hangar bay to find it mostly empty, with only a few maintenance personnel working on routine ship servicing. Princess Kira's vessel was exactly where she had promised, a sleek Zephyrian scout ship that looked fast enough to outrun pursuit and small enough to slip through detection networks. "Security codes," Princess Kira said, activating the ship's boarding systems with credentials that Alex suspected were either stolen or forged. "I've modified this ship's identification signatures to register as a routine supply transport." As they boarded the vessel, Alex noted how Princess Kira had obviously spent considerable time preparing for their escape. The ship was stocked with supplies, survival equipment, and navigation data for routes through neutral territory. "Kira," he said, "exactly how long have you been planning this?" "Since the day I realized that the peace negotiations were a facade," she replied, moving through pre-flight procedures with the efficiency of someone who had practiced these exact sequences. "Since I understood that my mother was using my relationship with you to gather intelligence for a surprise attack." Alex felt something cold settle in his chest. "Using our relationship?" Princess Kira's hands stilled on the control systems, her luminous blue eyes showing pain mixed with shame. "She knew about my feelings for you, Alex. She encouraged them because she thought emotional attachment would make you more likely to share strategic information." "And did it?" "No," Princess Kira said firmly. "You never revealed anything that compromised human security. But I realized that my mother was prepared to use my love for you as a weapon against your people." Their conversation was interrupted by communication alerts indicating that someone had discovered their unauthorized departure. Princess Kira's expression shifted to something between determination and panic as she initiated emergency launch procedures. "They've noticed we're gone," she said, her voice carrying new urgency. "Alex, once we launch, there's no returning. Are you certain about this choice?" Alex looked at Princess Kira's face, noting how her alien beauty had become impossibly precious to him over months of working together, and how her willingness to sacrifice everything for his safety represented a depth of love he'd never experienced. "I'm certain," he said, taking her hand as the ship's engines powered up for departure. The launch sequence proceeded smoothly until they cleared the diplomatic vessel's immediate space, when Princess Kira's worst fears materialized in the form of pursuit vessels deploying from hidden positions throughout the fleet. "Zephyrian interceptors," Princess Kira said, her voice tight with concentration as she plotted evasive courses through the diplomatic convoy. They were prepared for this possibility. "Can we outrun them?" "We can try," Princess Kira replied, executing maneuvers that demonstrated piloting skills Alex hadn't known she possessed. "But Alex, if they capture us, if they bring us back, what happens?" "I face charges of treason and abandonment of royal duty," Princess Kira said, threading their ship through the gaps between larger vessels while pursuit craft closed distance behind them. "You face charges of kidnapping royalty and espionage." Both of which carry death sentences, I assume. Both of which carry worse than death sentences, Princess Kira corrected grimly. Their escape route took them through the heart of the diplomatic fleet, where Princess Kira's knowledge of Zephyrian ship configurations allowed her to exploit blind spots and tactical weaknesses that human pilots wouldn't have recognized. But their pursuers knew the same ship configurations, and the chase became a deadly game of three-dimensional navigation through spacecraft that had been positioned for military engagement rather than ceremonial display. Princess Kira, came a voice through their communication system, speaking in formal Zephyrian that carried unmistakable authority. This is Admiral Velthren. You will return to the diplomatic vessel immediately. Admiral, Princess Kira replied in the same formal language, though her hands never stopped working the ship's controls. I respectfully decline your invitation. Princess, you are committing treason against the Zephyrian Empire and kidnapping a human military officer. Surrender now and face judgment with honor. Princess Kira's laugh was bitter enough to etch metal. Honor? Admiral, there is no honor in using peace negotiations to mask genocide. The communication channel fell silent for several seconds before Admiral Velthren responded. Princess, your mother wishes to speak with you. The voice that came through their speakers next carried all the authority and disappointment that Alex associated with parental authority figures, though the musical Zephyrian harmonics made even anger sound like carefully orchestrated performance. Kira, Queen Velandris said, return immediately. We will discuss your concerns privately. Mother, Princess Kira replied, her voice breaking slightly on the word, I cannot be party to the massacre you've planned. I will not watch you destroy the possibility of genuine peace between our species. Child, you understand nothing of the strategic necessities that guide imperial policy. I understand that you're planning to murder people I care about, Princess Kira said, her ship shaking as pursuit craft opened fire with warning shots. I understand that the peace negotiations have been lies designed to position our forces for surprise attack. And you choose to betray your own people for the sake of alien attachment? Princess Kira was quiet for a moment, her luminous eyes focused on the tactical display showing their rapidly deteriorating escape options. I choose to save both our peoples from a war that will destroy any hope of cooperation, she said finally. Mother, the attack you've planned will not create victory, it will create generations of hatred that will consume both our civilizations. Kira, you will return now, or you will be brought back in restraints. Princess Kira looked at Alex, her expression showing love mixed with desperate determination. I choose love over loyalty to systems that would use us to destroy each other. She cut the communication channel and activated emergency acceleration that slammed both of them against their seats as their ship leaped toward the edge of the system. Kira, Alex said, what happens now? Now we discover whether love is stronger than political authority, she replied, her voice carrying both hope and terror as pursuit ships closed distance behind them. As their ship raced toward uncertain freedom, Alex realized that Princess Kira's trembling plea to run away had become something unprecedented in galactic politics, a declaration that some bonds were more important than governments, and that some choices mattered more than safety. The confrontation that would determine the fate of two civilizations took place in neutral space, at the emergency diplomatic station that had been hastily established when Princess Kira's defection triggered the kind of interstellar crisis that required immediate intervention from the Galactic Council. Princess Kira Velandris, announced Counselor Thex, a tall crystalline being whose voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to preventing wars through careful mediation, you stand accused of treason against the Zephyrian Empire and kidnapping of a human military officer. How do you respond to these charges? Princess Kira stood in the center of the council chamber with the kind of royal bearing that had been trained into her since childhood, though Alex noted how her hands trembled slightly as she prepared to defend choices that had transformed her from princess to fugitive. Honored Counselor, she replied in formal diplomatic standard, I respond that preventing genocide is not treason, and that Commander Rhodes accompanied me voluntarily to save both our species from unnecessary war. The chamber erupted in translation harmonics as beings from dozens of species processed the implications of what Princess Kira was claiming. Alex stood beside her, acutely aware that his presence in the neutral zone had already cost him his military career and possibly his freedom. "Princess Kira," said Ambassador Veltar, representing the Zephyrian delegation, "these are serious accusations against your mother's government. Do you have evidence to support claims of planned genocide?" "I have complete tactical plans, timeline specifications, and recorded conversations outlining the surprise attack that was scheduled to occur during yesterday's peace ceremony," Princess Kira replied, activating holographic displays that filled the chamber with the same strategic data she had shown Alex. Queen Velandris rose from her position among the Zephyrian representatives, her impressive height and regal bearing making her a commanding presence even among the diverse assembly of galactic diplomats. "My daughter," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that suggested both authority and profound disappointment, "has allowed personal attachment to cloud her judgment regarding imperial security requirements." Personal attachment? Princess Kira's voice carried new steel that Alex had never heard before. "Mother, you used my feelings for Alex to gather intelligence while planning his assassination. You turned my love into a weapon against the people I care about." "Your love is irrelevant to strategic necessities," Queen Velandris replied coldly. "My love is the reason I discovered that your strategic necessities include murdering diplomatic personnel during peace ceremonies," Princess Kira shot back. Before the confrontation could escalate further, the chamber doors opened to admit Lieutenant Sarah Martinez, whose presence caused immediate security alerts among the various diplomatic escorts. "Lieutenant Martinez," Counselor Thek said with obvious confusion, "you are not authorized to participate in these proceedings." "Counselor," Sarah replied, activating a recording device that projected her voice throughout the chamber, "I have evidence that supports Princess Kira's claims and demonstrates the accuracy of her intelligence regarding planned attacks." She activated holographic displays showing security footage, recorded conversations, and tactical analyses that Sarah had apparently been gathering during the weeks leading up to the planned attack. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sarah announced, "I have documentation proving that the Zephyrian Empire was indeed planning to use peace negotiations as cover for eliminating human military leadership." The evidence Sarah presented was comprehensive and damning: recorded planning sessions, tactical deployment orders, and communication intercepts that painted a clear picture of premeditated betrayal disguised as diplomatic cooperation. Queen Velandris studied the evidence with an expression that cycled through surprise, calculation, and something that might have been relief. "Counselor Thex," she said finally, "I request private consultation with my daughter before these proceedings continue." The private meeting took place in a shielded chamber where Queen Velandris could speak freely without diplomatic observers recording every word. "Kira," she said, her formal authority replaced by something that sounded remarkably like maternal concern, "do you understand what you have done? I've prevented a war that would have destroyed any hope of peace between our species," Princess Kira replied. "I've chosen conscience over convenience. You've provided me with the excuse I needed to oppose military factions that have been pressuring the throne toward aggressive policies," Queen Velandris said quietly. Princess Kira stared at her mother with obvious shock. "What? Child, did you truly believe that I wanted war with humanity? Did you think I enjoyed planning attacks against people you clearly cared about? But the tactical plans, the attack orders, were developed by military advisors who convinced me that preemptive action was necessary to prevent human expansion into Zephyrian territory," Queen Velandris explained. "Your defection has given me the political justification to abandon those plans and pursue genuine diplomatic solutions." Alex watched this exchange with growing understanding that Princess Kira's desperate flight had accidentally provided her mother with exactly the leverage needed to choose peace over war. "Mother," Princess Kira said carefully, "are you saying that my treason has served imperial interests?" "I'm saying that your courage has allowed me to choose the path I wanted to follow from the beginning," Queen Velandris replied. "But Kira, your actions have consequences. You cannot return to your previous role in the royal succession." "I understand. Do you? You've chosen love over duty, personal conviction over political obligation. There is no path back to the life you knew." Princess Kira looked at Alex, her luminous blue eyes showing determination mixed with something that looked remarkably like peace. I don't want to go back, she said. I want to build something new with someone who values the same principles I do. The resolution that emerged from the diplomatic crisis was unprecedented in galactic history. Princess Kira would serve as the first Zephyrian ambassador to Earth, while Alex would serve as human cultural liaison, their relationship having evolved from forbidden romance to official partnership that represented the possibility of genuine cooperation between their species. So, Sarah said during their final briefing before departure for Earth, you ran away together to prevent a war, accidentally gave the Zephyrian Queen political cover to choose peace, and ended up with official diplomatic positions that let you work together legally. When you put it that way, it sounds like we planned this outcome, Alex observed. We planned to save lives and preserve the possibility of peace, Princess Kira corrected, taking his hand with the natural intimacy that had replaced their careful professional distance. Everything else was the universe ensuring that love and courage create better outcomes than fear and political calculation. 6 months later, their embassy had become a model for interspecies cooperation, with Princess Kira's understanding of both cultures allowing her to bridge gaps that traditional diplomacy couldn't address. Do you ever regret running away? Alex asked during a quiet evening in their shared quarters on Earth. I regret that it was necessary, Princess Kira replied, her alien beauty somehow perfectly suited to human environments. But I don't regret choosing love over loyalty to systems that would have used us to destroy each other. She moved closer, her luminous eyes reflecting Earth's moon in patterns that reminded Alex of the first night she had appeared in his quarters with trembling voice and desperate urgency. Alex, do you know what I learned about human concepts of courage? What's that? That sometimes running away together is actually the first step toward building something better than either person could achieve alone, Princess Kira said, her voice carrying the same harmonics that had made her plea so compelling months earlier. As Alex looked at the alien woman who had chosen to abandon everything familiar for the sake of principles they both believed in, he realized that her trembling request to run away and never look back had actually been an invitation to run toward a future neither of them could have imagined. They had saved 2 civilizations by choosing each other, proving that sometimes the most important political actions begin with personal courage and the willingness to risk everything for love that serves purposes larger than individual happiness. And they had learned that the strongest partnerships are built not on shared backgrounds or compatible species, but on shared values and the courage to act on them when action requires sacrificing safety for principle.